Hello everybody, welcome back to the collection video. This is part 4 to this series, and as we can see, Maspian's flexing his muscles as we last left him off doing so, and we're going to continue off from where I left off, so let's go ahead and talk about it. So what I was debating on was, the next thing I was going to show off was the what I mentioned with Chuck. His story actually developed because he was introduced to Deep of the Jungle of Doom, and there were two things that got introduced. So Deep of the Jungle of Doom was introduced into the game originally, but then it got updated and added Crosby into the mix for, St. Patrick's Day. So this is the scene itself, and it's an abandoned water park. Why an abandoned water park? Why not? Who cares? Because the Piranha Person likes going into an abandoned water park for some reason, because of course. I do like the design, by the way, of this thing. I'm just gonna, yeah, so you get a better appreciation for it, because, like, look, okay, can you not, please? I'm trying to, just, okay, I'm gonna leave it like this, okay? So look at the detail on this thing. Like, you get to see the look here, the weird abandonedness of the weird slide thing. It's really detailed, and I do like it. And the fact that it kind of blends in here with the ground you put on. And originally it's like, oh, why are we in this place? And Mrs. Mara is just like, oh, we're studying architecture, so we're going to this abandoned water park, because of course, yeah, that makes sense. So, in the original story, I believe Eric was the one who ended up getting saved by the Piranha Person. So, it seems like the Piranha Person in question is actually not harmful, but it's more so the fact that Chuck decides to just go like, I don't want to do anything here. And he comes across this weird fruit and decides, because he's fat, he's like, I'll eat it. Yeah, let's eat it. Let's eat this random fruit that's out in the open. Yeah, what could go wrong, right? I know this is kind of based on one of the scenes from the book, but still, he eats it, and then, of course, he becomes a Piranha Person, which is one of the monsters in the book that is, I guess, kind of based itself off of the one in the cover art. But what's interesting about the Piranha Person here is I believe they're taking on more of a fish form, and it might be more of a design choice from this series. I'm saying this because I do recall, like, say, Deep in the Trouble 2? No. Yes, yeah, it was 2. Deep in Trouble 2, there was a scene where they had, like, these weird fish people, and the designs were kind of like what the Piranha Person looks like. So maybe they had inspiration to that. And yeah, I'm gonna summon Crosby as well, and I'm gonna talk about him in a minute. But yeah, this is the Piranha Person in question. This is what he does. Yeah, see, he's kind of a big boy. He's like he's like the, you know what he is? He's kind of reminds me of, he's the creature from the Black Lagoon of this city. He seems like, according to the story of this, it seems like he's not a bad monster. He obviously seemed to have cared about saving Eric, of all people. So he obviously doesn't want to hurt people. And at the same time, Eric got turned into one. No, Chuck got turned into one real briefly. So maybe theory is this used to be a poor guy, like, like one of these gray nobodies, and he got permanently stuck as one of these things. So he's just kind of living his life by himself in the abandoned water park, because that's the only place that's with a good lake, I guess. Not any of this over here. Nah, he prefers the other stuff. Might well, let's look at the other guy. There he is. There is Crosby. So Crosby is a leprechaun at first glance. When you look at him, he, like, wears his little thing. He has his little bar, just like any leprechaun does. And he has his magical wand thing, right? But, and this is funny, because here it is. So this is Crosby. But if you look closely, ooh, man, this looks like a scary looking leprechaun. That's because he's not a leprechaun. He's a cave troll. In the original book, it is said that Crosby is a cave troll. and he loves his riddles. He's like, okay, tell you what, if you can answer this question for me in the book, like in the book, if you answer this question, I will help you with this. But if you get it wrong, you're my slave forever. And he's like, if you lose, he basically hypnotizes you so that you're his slave, implied, right? So this is where interesting lore comes in. So he did appear in the movie. Apparently, from the designs, he looks like a weird looking creature thing. I guess that's what a troll looks like to the movie developers. I guess he wears lederhosen and yeah, okay, fine. Yeah, that's exactly what a troll in the Amazon would wear. Gotcha. Okay, but okay, yeah, all right. All right, whatever. But that's not the interesting part. So, where did they get the inspiration to have him become a leprechaun? Well, that has something to do with Goosebumps, the game. The game based off of the movie that took place before the movie happens. Okay, so let me explain this. So, in the game, at some point, and you're in the mall. In this mall, you come across this leprechaun creature. He names him. He said his name is Crosby. And he's like, I'll tell you a riddle. And if you can give me the item that this riddle is based off of, I'll let you go. But if you don't, and you give me the wrong answer, I eat you. So, yeah, if you lose, he eats you and you die. But if you give him the right answer, he kind of disappears. So he's kind of like a trickery troll. So I think what the game developers did here was they combined the two. They took the inspiration of them, the game, the people who made Wait Forward that screwed up on Crosby's lore, and said, "Nah, we can make this work." So in this game, Crosby is a cave troll pretending to be a leprechaun because, as he puts it, trolls and leprechauns are basically the same characters. We both love our different things. The difference is, no one likes to go to a cave troll. So he pretends to be a leprechaun because he thinks that's more enticing. And part of the thing he has is like this gold, because leprechauns are famous for their gold. So, of course, Chuck stumbles upon this gold stash that he's been harvesting for a while. And he takes free nuggets, and Crosby catches him. And he's like, tell you what, man, I'll let you have those free nuggets if you can answer my riddles. And surprisingly, Chuck ends up actually doing it very well. He kind of got skeptical at first. It's like, what happens if you... It's like, oh, you only get one chance. It's like, wait, why? Because it was like, well, because if you lose, I eat you. And he's like, what? Yeah, so he's kind of like playing up. It's like, oh, come on, my chubby little, my chirrup. What's the answer? Like, he's trying to do all this stuff. And he ends up getting it all. And he's like, well, a deal's a deal. Here you go. And Chuck is happy. He got his earnings. But he's like, hey, you know what? You're so good at this. Let's make it double or nothing. I got one good riddle for you. And unfortunately, Chuck gets it wrong. And the answer to the riddle was a riddle. And when I heard this, when I heard this in my playthrough, I'm like, oh, I know what this is. And I'm not saying it because I played through and I already know the answer. I legitimately, when I read it, when I first read the story, I'm like, oh, I know where they're going with this. And I was, yeah. Yeah, Crosby is a character. I certainly love this guy just because of how mischievous he is. And I do see why they wanted to fit him during the St. Patrick's Day update because, we don't really have an official Leprechaun villain character. So close and good enough, close enough, Crosby will be that. And he owns a pub. So yeah, he's not only does he own, he has his own little bar. So he's doing very well for himself. Better than being in a cave in the middle of the Amazon forest, but whatever. I guess that's how he earned his gold. Anyways, I digress. So we have, have a meal, dance traditionally, show off some gold, polish gold, practice hypnotism or hypnotic powers. And I think the shortest one I think would be nice. I'll do the polished gold one, so you get to see a little bit of him doing this type of thing. I kind of did show off all of his quest lines, I think, when his quest came out originally, so I don't think it's too much bad, so I think that's pretty much okay. I'll leave it at that. Let's leave it at that. I think that's all I can talk about with Crosby, I think. But yeah, he's one of the more interesting design choices, I think. I do like his design. I do not know what... Okay. This is a long shot, but I'm just realizing this. I'm thinking part of the design for why he looks the way he does might be based off of the Leprechaun movies, the horror one. I don't know if that's 100% true, but I will not be surprised if it was. Just because it kind of reminds me of that. Just my opinion. But I don't know. You can tell me what you think. So, in the last video, I talked about how Dr. Brewer, not Dr. Brewer. Yeah, I know I talked about Dr. Brewer last video, but what I meant to say was talking about Dr. Fredericks. He had a rivalry with a character, and he was like the amateur compared to this guy. This Mr. I'm smarter than you. I am very powerful. I know when I'm doing my thing. So, although although Frederick is like the inventor that tries to do good and kind of invents things, and he's like, oh, I invented something, like, something cool. This guy isn't. He's a That's the best way. He's a Richard. I, of course, talk about Professor Shock. He is the absolute, like, a villain can be. This guy is it. Look at this man. Mister, I think I'm smarter than you. Look at me holding this light bulb. I'm smarter than Edison, I tell you. Edison was a salesman. I'm the inventor. Yeah, so Professor Shock. He comes from the story, the creepy creations of Professor Shock. And he was in the movies. Originally, he kind of, I think, was designed by within the movie's intention, but he kind of made his own version of it. I actually like the original version that they have here. I think I like this version the best, in my opinion. And it's weird because in the book, if I'm remembering this correctly, Professor Shock wasn't a villain, I don't think. He was like a guy who was selling some stuff on the side. But the game is like, nah, let's turn him into let's turn him to a bad guy. Let's have him be he's like a real Richard to everybody. I know I mentioned one other word, but oh boy. This guy is such a my god. Yeah, and there's more lore to build up with him that kind of made him more sympathetic later on, but that won't come into a few more parts from here. But if you see my playthroughs in 2000s or the 2020s, you know what I'm referring to, because he ended up creating something that he cherishes, his best creation, something that he feels like is almost like his child. But I won't. The little hint, in case you don't know. I mean, we all know, but just in case. But anyways, yeah, Professor Shock. He is the creator of his robotic. He's Mike the animatronic genius. He can make any kind of robotic thing you can think of, like that, and he's very intelligent. And he's so full of himself. And he is such a he's the kind of guy that has no morals. He's not even anti-hero. He's just a guy who's in it for himself. And the reason I say that is because in the story, it's implied that he was selling not only to the military, but also the enemies. So he's one of those people. He just he's just doing it just to get money. And, he also has his mother's still alive. So that's interesting. So, there's that. I do like his design. He has that kind of look to him. You know what I'm talking about, right? And Professor Shock, yeah, he has his own little invention. He got introduced during the Say Cheese and Die segment, but he has his own book too. So this factory abandoned area, this refrigerator factory, by the way, apparently, according to Lucy, this originally was supposed to be a a thing factory, and yeah, and we nice opening it, buddy. And yeah, this is his house. I decided to make this look like this because why not? But anyways, yeah, the cyborg factory. This is where he has his creations, these weird robots, this interesting looking cyborg thing. And then of course has himself in his giant mech. And I showed this off before during his quest line, but honestly, this is one of those really cool. I really do dig the boss monster. I think that's what they refer to them as, but in the original, these big boss monsters that cost premium. And it's kind of cool because you really like rarely you get to see these things just because of the fact that because they cost a premium. No one wants to do that. In fact, they abandoned that real quick near I think 2019. They kind of said, "Nah, you know what? We're done with that. We're not going to do that no more." And thank God for that. But I did digress. So he has his little robot machines, these things here, that broken, kind of taking inspiration from the actual book cover, I think. And then of course, yeah. So you got this interesting looking mechanic there, and of course, Professor Shock is hiding behind a tree. Can you come out, please? There we go. I do like the fact he has these weird goggles and whatnot, and he's showing this suit. So the story with this suit is intentionally this guy like wanted to invent like this mech to kind of sell to the people on the side, but it turns out it didn't go out well for him for some reason. Also, okay, that's weird bugging, but okay. I was wondering why that thing was floating in midair, and I'm like, okay, that's obviously a bug. But where did he go? By the way, I saw him here for a moment. He couldn't have gone. Oh, there he is. All right, yeah. So yeah, that was Professor Shock's scene and all that. So he has some stuff, show off new projects, speed of sound, exoskeleton outside. It's an exoskeleton, but it's a mech. Come on. I guess it's not really a mech because a mech kind of refers to actually controlling something, whereas an exoskeleton is actually utilizing your actual body movements. I think that's what the difference is between the two, but whatever. He is the expert when it comes to robotics, so I won't question that. Um, I'll do a little weather experiment. I don't know. I yeah, I tried doing the weather experiment thing. I think he just kind of disappears in the building, so there's no animation for that. But one of my favorite ones is have a regression episode. He literally just goes ahead and plays with his little toy doll. It's implied that he just ended up just having an episode where he just kind of plays with an old toy thing. I don't know why, but yeah, this is one of those animatronic 3000 toys that I'll talk about when we get to there because oh boy, does that has a lot of problems in that aspect. But yeah, this is a robotic genius, Dr. Shock, who's regressing his past and playing with toys because that's what we all do. So now let's see where we're looking at now. Give me a sec. I'm trying to find my footing paper. There it is. Thank you. And okay. So now we're going to talk about the special book. Actually, no. Before I do that, I might as well talk about this guy. During 21, you get introduced to some new buildings and whatnot and scenes, and one of them is not the Witch's Tower, the Shaggity and the Tunnel of Love. Now, I don't know why exactly what's going on with the Tunnel of Love or why this thing isn't here. I guess it's just random building. It goes in here. Why not? It's interesting because you would think that the update would be with it because, oh, he's in the Tunnel of Love, so Valentine's Day, but no. So the if I'm understanding correctly, the Shaggity is kind of like a Bigfoot of sorts, swamp monster ish kind of character, and it's weird because it is supposed to be a protector. Like he doesn't go after characters to be like, oh, like he hates them, but it's implied that he actually goes and protects people, especially kids and whatnot. And it's later revealed in the books that there are these two kids that this one person meets, and he's like, "Oh, be careful to Shaggity." He's like, these little twins, kids who's chubby and whatever, but it's soon revealed near the end that this thing uh is the two boys. So this thing can just split itself off to two different people and be like sentient human children. So yeah, take of that as you will. In the game, at first it's implied that he's just a monster, makes monster noises. But then all of a sudden, in some stories, he's just talking proper English. I don't know why. I mean, it's not really out of character because technically speaking, he knows how to speak, so I'm gonna let it slide. Maybe they'll develop his character more, or maybe not. I don't know. I mean, there's a lot more stories to go through, so we'll never know. But yeah, anyways, this is what he looks like. And honestly, this is his design. And honestly, I'll tell you the truth. The Shaggity, as far as his design goes, I actually prefer this video games version of him compared to the one that's shown in the book. No offense to the book covers and whatnot, because the Shaggity looks kind of big and ugly. Well, this one actually looks kind of, design-wise, he looks kind of cool. I like it. He kind of fits, like, he keeps tribute to how he was described in the books and how he looks in the books, but they kind of, like, improved him, if that makes sense. Like, made him a 2.0 of sorts. So got that going on. So we'll have him kind of running amok and doing that type of stuff. And afterwards, I'll know exactly what I'm going to be talking about next time for after this guy. I think I'm noticing that he has like frog legs at the bottom here. So he's like a weird frog amphibian kind of monster. I get, yeah, no, I wouldn't be surprised. I think that's what they were trying to go for with this thing, with the moss and everything like that. So, why in the tunnel of love? I don't know. Maybe like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle reference? No, I don't know. Just ignore me. Right. So now let's talk about the my one of my favorite stories that ended up happening during this time, because quite honestly, one of the weirder books that came out of this was right, I'm losing papers left and right. What's going on here? All right, I'll figure it out later. But there was a moment where it came from be careful what you wish for. That was it. And in that book, we got introduced to two new characters, and they're very interesting. And then, of course, we get. It's one of those things where I'm kind of recalling. I'm like, all right. I mentioned last video and was like, yeah, man, Brooke should not, like, there's not a book with Brooke being involved and having a development story. And I'm just like, oh, wait a minute. She was involved with it. All right. So, Clarissa comes into the game at some point and added a story. And one of the stories that got added was mostly a retelling of the book Be Careful What You Wish For. But I'll get to her when we get to her. Let's talk about these other two new characters. No, not new, but you know what I'm talking about. So that is, first off, Megan. Megan is an interesting character because she is the typical teenage valley girl. Oh my god, the cheerleader type of the chick. However, she doesn't seem like she's stupid in a sense. She might be gullible, but she's not dumb, if that makes sense. And it's interesting because we don't really get to know her a lot, but we do know some things. She seems like she has sympathy for, like, this other character we're about to talk about after her. Tries to go after her and does some things, and she's like, I don't like you. Like, get away from me, kind of thing. And then she actually ends up liking another character that we'll mention, I think, in this video. And the thing with him is that she's a cheerleader, and the other guy is the football player. I was trying to think. It was a jock. I don't think it's a jock, but it's something in the sense. But yeah, he's a football player. So of course he kind of been time because she's a cheerleader to the football game kind of thing. So she kind of felt sympathy for John this character because she sees some things in them, and she seems like the kind of girl who is interested in like she's more of the curious type to kind of listen into stuff. Like when Ricky was going after Mar, she was like, "Oh man, I remember you were doing something to me earlier, and that's kind of interesting." And right, she's kind of, learning about that. She's an interesting character. We haven't learned much about her, I think, and I'm gonna be sad when I go and go, "Oh no, I did." We're learning as we go. But yeah, she has a lot of stuff here. She does her job, do rehearsals, compose a new song. So in the book, why she was introduced in this here was due to the fact. I might as well mention this too. Okay, I might as well mention these guys too because why not? So during this time, she's trying to be like, oh, I like this singer. I wish I could be her. And that's when Clarissa comes in. And is like, oh, you want to be this character? Yeah, I could probably do something to help you out there, buddy. So, ends up going to the local radio station host, which I've mentioned before, but I'll mention here again in this after this, to help her out. And she ends up kind of doing all this stuff. And yeah, okay. So Greg is the guy who's harassing her, and at one point tries to trick her into drinking a love potion so that she falls in love with him. However, Clarissa, probably knowing this, decides to screw with him and give him a zoo animal potion, and turn the poor girl into a pig. No, where's the piggy? Oh God, why did this happen? Yeah, turned her into a pig. A little piggy. There she is. It's gonna go wee 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 all the way home. I I'm happy for the fact that Cat had this animation available and not just like a one off like some of these other ones, like Lucy being frozen and Lucy turning into a bunny and that's it. So it's nice that we got a little piggy. I felt bad for her because, it's something that she doesn't deserve. And I love the fact how she's like, "What? Why did you do this to me, Greg?" I said, "Whatever." And he's like, "I'm sorry. I meant to do this." And he's like, "Oh my God, that's even worse." I hate you, Greg. You were awful. All right. So before we go over to talk about Greg, let's go ahead and no, wrong button. Let's talk about the other no names while we're at it. So the disc jockey, aka if I'm remembering his name, um Diamondetti, that's it. I had to think of what his name was. So this is Diamondetti, aka the disc jockey or DJ of the radio station. And it's interesting because we got to see a little bit of him in some of the stories. He's like the radio host. But you also get to see the kind of thing like he plays a character online, but he's kind of like, look, I'm doing this thing. So he fills that kind of role. It'll be interesting to see him kind of in the future, but otherwise, yeah, it's a guy. So we'll have him dance around and parade like an idiot to promote his thing, and yeah. Before I go and talk about Greg, I might as well talk about the other three no names. Well, not really. Two of the no names and one of them that we'll save for her later. Oh, poor Florence. So this is Firefighter Florence. He is the firefighter. He actually had like one role in the whole game, and that's it. He has yet to be developed or anything about that. It would be interesting to see where they take this guy. There were ideas being thrown around of what they could do with him. Like the thing is with some of the developers in the back, they were talking about how they wanted to flesh some of these guys out. And we kind of saw that with one of them. So the other two, I can see them introducing certain books that will probably be interesting to have them flesh out, but I digress. But yeah, let's have him do. I always loved the practicing one because I thought that was interesting. So yeah, unfortunately, I'm sorry I didn't really have much to talk about, but I might as well mention this. Yeah, the firefighter thing. So let's talk about Dr. Kim, which is yeah right here, Dr. Kim. Dr. Kim is the doctor. That's it. I wish I could tell you more about him, but nope. Yeah, he has no role. He said nothing. He absolutely no dialogue. Nothing. He's just there. He's just there, you know. And what I love about him in particular is that out of all the characters in this game, and I'm trying to think real hard if there was someone else who did something, but I can't for the life of me think if that is a yes. I don't think so. But this guy, oh, he has a really nasty habit. Out of all the characters in this game, like there are certain characters I'm like, oh yeah, I can see him doing this, but I'm like, is this really good for kids to do? Like, I get the idea of the animation, but it kind of it, when he takes a break, he literally takes the cartoonish visuals of a break, which is simply go outside, drink, and start smoking like a chimney. Oh, bad habit. How could you drink coffee? That's bad for you, man. All right, no, I digress. But yeah, he smokes. Um, yeah, okay, yeah, yeah. That was one of the things. It's kind of like whatever. Kind of the demographic, but yeah, he's probably the least developed character in this game. He's just kind of there. It'd be interesting to see him kind of develop because there are stories that I can see him being introduced in, so maybe we can see more development with them. We'll have to wait and see. Uh, but it could be worse. It could develop into having me despise this character, this woman. Let's talk about Officer Ramone. Oh god. All right. So they turned this character who is like a chief officer of HorrorTown to help the mayor. And turned into a I want to be the mayor, so I'm going to destroy your credibility and take your job and then just ruined it for everybody. It's a whole thing. I kind of made a meme out of it, and now everybody in my comments are like, I hate her, screw her, boo. It's like, nah. I think they tried to redeem her near the end, but it's like, oh no, man, we gotta have to have another story with having her try to be reproduction, but can't really say I'm sorry I screwed your life over and almost tried to ruin the town. Can you please forgive me and get my job back? It's like she has to earn it. So if the game comes back, it'll be interesting to see her kind of get fleshed out and be like, look, I'm sorry I did this and have an explanation so that we don't hate her anymore. But for now, she's kind of like a power hungry kind of woman who got her just desserts, I think, in the end. But yeah, there's the officer things you can see her do. So let's have her do that type of stuff now. Yeah, so she'll go here and do her taking a break on her a cop car. And it's funny because the breaking question is like when you think what do officers do when they take their break? Oh, of course, they eat donuts because when you're a cop, that's the only thing you do. You eat donuts, right? Like everyone likes to eat donuts, but no, when it comes to cartoons, like, nah, you're an officer, you eat donuts all day. That's your job. That's all you know is eat donuts. Okay. Just like the Flipsons. But yeah, I digress. But anyways, let's try to kind of going on a little bit. So let's see if we can't power through this with this last story and then kind of end it off, and then part 5 will continue with more of the interesting good stuff. Let's see where we can go from. So anyways, Greg. So this is Greg here. He is the typical rich boy, not the mama's boy, but the rich daddy, little print. You know what I'm talking about, oh, daddy got me your lot all day. That kind of character, right? He's a spoiled brat. There we go. And he thinks he can get anything he wants. And he's so into this character that he wears something on him, a pink thing on him, and doesn't wear it properly because I'm rich and I don't need to do that. It's like arrogant. And he thinks he can get whatever he wants. He tries to get Megan because she's like, "Oh, I love you, Megan." Megan's like, "Nah, screw you. Get off. Go away." And it's sad. And yeah, I mentioned before, he fails miserably trying to get Megan affection. And this later on, and this whole thing of him doing stuff caused him to get his comeuppance when he became a monster, quote unquote. I will mention that when we get later on in this collection, but all you need to know is that, yeah, he at some point he turns into a monster due to a family sibling, but I think you can get the gist of it. But that's about it for him. He doesn't really have much anything. He kind of takes on an antagonist role, kinda. He's not really the hero necessarily. He kind of plays off as kind of like the kind of like I said, spoiled brat, but whatever. And it's interesting here. So receive a gift from the fans. Like what? Make a list of material. Like who's fan? Okay. I bet you that this guy buys money, has some rando just send him a bouquet just to make him feel like he's special. Like, oh, the fans love me, but really, that's not the true. He had to get bought or something up like that. So let's have him tidy up and merge into the walls because yeah. Okay, Greg. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, Greg. That's good. Yeah. Psst. Why, Greg? Why do you have to do this to me? But yeah. Okay. There you go. He's gonna get himself ready. Good. All right. In the wall you go. Goodbye. Get squished. Where you belong. All right. Okay, so let's see if we can power through this. So we got that going, and let's talk about our last character before we end it because I've kind of talked a lot about stuff. Hey, my favorite troll, Clarissa. Not really a troll, but like an internet troll, like someone who likes playing pranks. Clarissa is a witch, and she is your typical kind of, oh, I'm trying to be the good person, but look at her, look at the design of her. You know, she's kind of like the type of, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do it like that. And secretly, he's like, no, I really meant to do that. But she's trying to play innocent. Clarissa is the main problem in the books. And in the story in part 3, it follows point on point of how the story goes. The only difference is within the books, it's stupid how it ended, and it's also stupid how the show ends it too, with bad CGI or bad editing of it's so dumb. And then it dumb, like the endings were dumb. The ending of in this game wasn't dumb, but every other ending was dumb. uh Clarissa herself, though, her design is 100% based off of the one from the TV series, that because of the way she looks and everything like that, and her personality. So the gist of it, so in the story and in the game, Brooke, who I mentioned before, oh, she doesn't have much of a character development. That she kind of does like, oh, technically, yes, she was featured in the book, but it doesn't count, Pixowl. I don't remember it. She needs to be like Chuck and have her main feature presentation, but oh, I digress. Anyways, Brooke ends up helping Clarissa, which I'm sure she did this on purpose. She was trying to see if someone was going to help her. And she's like, oh, let me help you with the groceries. Let me help you do with this type of stuff here. And she's like, oh, thank you. After she's done helping her, she's like, you know, you did such a good deed. Let me pay you back in respect. You see, I'm a witch, and I want to help you. I will grant 3 wishes just for you. So just think what you want, but just make sure you be careful what you wish for, and just make sure you say it like right. So of course, the person who helped her, Brooke, they wish certain things, and turns out to bite them in the butt. Um, Namely because of certain things. Someone would say, "Oh, I wish for this," and it would backfire. In the story, I mentioned this in the story because in the game it kind of is good, but the story made it even better. There's one wish where she's like, "Oh, I wish I was the best basketball player on my team." So you would think the wish would end up making her like actually be very really good, right? No, they made the team sick and like god awful, so that technically the wish is true. You are better, but you weren't specified that basically the wish made the other team lower than your expectation. So technically you're better than ever. It's like the irony of it. The thing is with these types of stories with the wishes is that you always have to when it comes to wishing, you have to word things carefully, and they tend to try to screw with you as much as you can. So the more specific, like detail you are of your wish, the less likely they can try to screw with you. But if you mess up, they'll go, "Ah, I got you there," right? There was another like haunting hour story that kind of had the wishing thing, and that was an interesting twist how that ended. Uh, you know, it had to do with a leprechaun, but I digress. But yeah, anyways, and then another wish was like, "Oh, I wish you would buzz off," and then everyone basically in the world turned into bugs, flies specifically, and she's like so upset with Clarissa, with like, "Look what you did." It's like, "Well, I'm sorry, I was trying to help you." Secretly enjoying this chaos that's happening, and she's frustrated, she's sad, she's upset because all her free wishes are gone. And Clarissa's like, "Okay, look, I'm sorry, this whole thing screwed up. I'm sorry the wishes were trying to troll you. Tell you what, I'll make one last attempt. I'll let you wish one more thing, but you have to be specific. No simple things. You have to be very, very detailed of what you want to happen, okay?" And it's like, okay. So after that, I don't know if that whole recording of like, I basically didn't touch my phone, so now it's locked. So I don't know if that's displayed. I think it was. So oops. But anyways, I digress. During this time, Clarissa was just like, "Oh, I wish everything back to normal. I wish I never met you." And then that happened, so everything resets. And it's like, "Oh, what happened?" So basically, she's a troll. That's what I'm trying to get at. She's not a genie per se. She's a witch, but she kind of did this as let's like, "Oh, let's have some fun. Let's screw with somebody today." Um, so we have some interesting stuff here. Let's do the look in the hat so we get a good look at her. Got some magical stuff. It's interesting too because there is actually a design or an animation that was exclusive to Clarissa in the Easter event with the bunnies, and that didn't appear again. I don't know why, so rep that. But yeah, Clarissa is an interesting character. She is a fun one, and I do love her. Uh, Speaking of Greg and whatnot, as I mentioned before, Greg turns into a monster and whatnot. Clarissa has family members too, which I will mention again in the future. Not really now, but that will be it for me. So I'll end it off there because we're going on long enough, and we want to go on with this. When we continue, we're gonna go talk about Ricky Beamer and every other collection I have. So slowly but surely, we're picking off my collection. So I hope you enjoy these things, and well, I'll see you soon later. So thanks for watching.